Let's talk about academics. I mean, how are children able to make up some of what's been lost?
The big question right now is how do we determine what are those learning gaps? One of the big challenges that's presenting is how do you identify what learning is occurring, and how do we have evidence of that learning? So where we know that the pacing and the general assignments or tests that you would normally be doing in a semester are different. And so it's the challenge becomes how do we identify what those learning gaps are without making assumptions that there are huge learning gaps, because we do know kids are learning. It looks different, it feels different. So we need to figure out how do we better figure out what is that learning that's occurring, and then how can we adjust for those learning gaps.
We often hear that children are resilient. What is your assessment as to how easy it's going to be to get kids back to where they need to be when it comes to academics?
We just had a conversation last week actually with students, with some of our middle school and high school students, asking them, why do they choose to engage and why do they not engage, and what do they wish their teachers knew? Because I think that student voice is critical here as we make decisions moving forward. The lessons that we are learning do matter. We can adjust and be better for students moving out of this space. We have to figure out what are the gaps that we need to fill, and what are the gaps that if we just make some adjustments down the road, it's not about going backward, it's about going forward. So how do we identify what those are and then make the adult instructional moves to fill those gaps, or to be aware that they may occur and provide that for students moving forward? One of the things that the students overwhelmingly indicated to us was they miss the contact. They miss learning as a social construct, and they miss that. They miss their teachers. So as we move, we've been in hybrid and remote. As we move back to remote for a little while, it's really thinking about how do we create opportunities for students to engage, be partners in the learning, not just receiving direct instruction and messaging from teachers to students. And that is critical for students to move their learning forward and for us to engage students for the long term.
Many people think that children are falling behind, and that's probably inevitable, but they must be gaining something from all this as well, correct?
They absolutely are. And I check myself all the time to really question what are my assumptions and what do I really know in this space? Because it's so different from anything we've ever experienced in education. It's hard to believe there aren't going to be huge gaps, but I'm not sure of that. I am surprised on a daily basis when I go into visit virtual classrooms, or I'm able to see hybrid learning take place. And I am surprised so many times at how far students have moved the learning, and how they have taken opportunities to really learn in a different way. So I think there's a growth in student agency and an opportunity to really build that muscle in them to persevere and to figure out, to be resourceful, to figure out how can I learn and how else can I learn. That'll be very powerful coming back into the classroom, as long as we make the adjustments in the classroom so that that doesn't become status quo as it once was either. So I think there's learning on both ends as a system. There's a lot for educators, for us to learn at all levels of how to not waste what we're learning during these critical times, these just crucial learning times, and to capitalize on them, because our students are very resilient. They're very resourceful. And I think we just need to provide what are those opportunities and occasions for them to showcase and grow that.
All right, one of those life lessons we often hear about. All right, Pam Betton from Sunnyside Unified School District, thank you.
Thank you.